Please fill in the front seats. Yes. Oh, same lah, same same. We are all very shy. Hi, thank you for joining us. Please fill in the front seat, please. I think by 2:10. Yeah, 5:35. I think we can start. All right. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fadli Amin. I can see like a lot of family faces, especially among our panelists today. I am from Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, or MDEC, and exploring at the intersection of digital and also sustainability. And today we are joined by our fellow panelists. So I think we're gonna pass the mic to them and for a quick introduction about yourself and also your company. Maybe we can start with Henrik.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Henrik. I'm responsible for entity data business in Malaysia. I have been in the industry for a long time, like 30 years. But in this company, 18 years plus already. But we evolved from multiple company and went through couple of merger because entity have merged all their overseas IT company into one single company called Entity Data. Uh, many of you will know today sustainability is a topic. So uh, we are one of the big energy spender. We built a data center since 1999 in Cyberjayas. Over the years, we have built something like 30 megawatts. Just now I was sharing with them. We also the one of the foreign network company that who have a submarine cables landed to Malaysia. It's going live anytime. That we came in from Morib to our data center in Cyberjaya. Last week, we also announced we have acquired 69 acres of land in Johor with a plan to expand our data center business. We have 1,000 employees here, so have been here for 38 years, doing various system integration business. In fact, most people think that we are a data center company, but our data center business is only about 15% of our business. 85% of our business is in other business, system integration, data analytics, application modernization, soon generative AI type of adoption type of applications. Thank you.
Cheers for that. Hi, my name is Matthew. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Carbon GPT. So imagine that a world that tracking your carbon footprint is as easy as checking a phone. That's what Carbon GPT strives to be. So our goal is very simple, because we think that sustainability shouldn't be complicated and troublesome. It should be accessible for everyone, not only to the large corporates, but also your small, medium businesses. So that's what Carbon GPT is trying to do, to democratize sustainability, to simplify the ways of us tracking our carbon footprint. Our business is very simple. We are a tech startup that tries to foster not only our top line, but our bottom line for businesses. We call it the triple bottom line. That's what we are supporting, right? Taking care of our people, taking care of our planet, and taking care of the profit as well, prosperity. So love to share with you more about how we are leveraging on generative AI to make it more interesting and fun to learn about sustainability. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am an accidental ESG storyteller. Okay, so from the name, the company is publicity.io. We are mainly a PR firm. We tell stories. We help companies tell their ESG stories. And recently, we have launched ESGnewslytics.ai, where we help companies to tell their ESG stories using data. So instead of just, telling, hey, let's talk about sustainability, let's talk about net zero, randomly, the platform helps companies to analyze news, mentions around the brand, and then crafts stories, suggests story ideas that they can then push out to receive a wider coverage or publicity, which ultimately helps them to raise their profile as ESG leaders. It also helps them to guide them whether they are a lot of greenwashing or a lot of green hushing. So that's what we do. And thank you for having us here today.
All right. Okay. Afternoon, everyone. I'm Kawei. So you can call me KW or can address me as Tan. As you see, my company name is actually I'm one of the founders. I name it Tan and Partners, basically. That's how the names come with it. And without a NAND storage, there's actually no IoT. So that's how it come about. NAND is a NAND storage technology. It's basically like a flash drive or SSD. I'm a very technical guy. I'm an engineer. I like to solve problems. So when I founded this company 10 years ago, it always comes with problems that I couldn't able to solve myself, and I need to find partners to solve it together. And we are a local company. We started from a software play in IoT space, and then we go into using IoT data and analytics and drive results. And in Malaysia, everyone is talking about result. And partially when we talk about result, it's measurable result. And something that is easy to measure is always talking about energy, right? Because energy is something that we can measure easily, and we can help them to optimize. For example, in this building space, we are using all aircon. Same goes for data centers as well and semiconductors manufacturing. There's a lot of power that being used, and 60% of them are actually being used for that. So we like problems, and one of the key things that we use is using this and make it adaptive and autonomous and solve that problems without you knowing that it's happening, and trying to optimize that. All right. So yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's a quick introduction of our panelists today, and also the nature of business and technology that they're offering. And if you notice, this is even though they are technology companies, but all our panelists today have like different offerings on in relation of technology and also sustainability. So let me frame or set the stage for today's conversation, okay? So we are here to talk about digital for net zero. So what that really means? So there are 3 points that I would like to highlight to set the stage today. The first one, we want to recognize that digital technologies are crucial in actually fastening our track towards net zero. And I just would like to read the quote here by Bain survey recently. 400 executives showed that 40% believe that digital solutions are already facilitating them and also creating positive impact towards their sustainability goals. Well, that's a good news, right? On the second point that I will also like to highlight is, with these benefits also come great challenges as well. So technologies are important, but they are not, should not be deemed as a silver bullet, right? There are challenges around technology as well. So we will discuss a little bit more on the downsides of technologies, like particularly in the form of carbon emissions, greenwashing, water usage, e-waste, and whatnot. So the panelists today will explore this duality of technology. Each of our panelists will share how their respective solutions tackle both the benefits and also challenges in their unique ways. So without further ado, let's get it started. I'm going to start with our Mr. Henrik first, right? So representing, I know that NTT, offers more than just data centers, but representing the only data center, and in fact, one of the earliest data center in Malaysia, if not the earliest, if not the first one in Malaysia.
The first one.
The first one, right?
Professional DC lah.
There you go. What are the primary problems, obstacles that DC operators like NTT encounter in aligning data center expansion with sustainability targets? Yeah.
Thank you. It is a very tough problem to solve. I wouldn't say we have all the answers. Just now, firstly, you mentioned digitization come with a price. It helps somewhere else to save money or processes or resources, or even save a lot of energy. But it created computing requirements. Look at you guys do video call all the time, right? It's reduced your traveling, right? It allow you to work from home, right? But it created computing needs. So that power have shifted to the data centers. So I was sharing with them, data centers requirement have changed a lot. We are the first professional data center, means a dedicated data centers. The first in Malaysia and the first outside of Japan. In 1999, we completed the first one. To give you a little bit of perspective of the size, in 1999, our first data center is 1 megawatt. 1 megawatt today is a rounding error to people. It took us how long to fill up the 1 megawatt? Almost 14 years. Then we built the second one and a couple of 5 others over roughly a total of 40 megawatts, 30, 40 megawatts over the last 10 years, 11 years. But you may think that, wow, it took you 14 years for one, 10 for 30. Wow, there's a big growth, right? But today you will read newspapers. All the data centers, all the big company investing, it start with 100, 200, 300. 300 megawatts. I give you a bit of perspective. What is 300 lah? One day I read the news of Malakoff power generation plant. One of the plant have a capacity of 450 megawatts. So technically, the data center today, you're talking about almost building a power plant at the data centers. So all the data centers in Johor right now, you're talking about the Tenaga PMU in the data center, taking up like 10 acre of space. The PMU means the one that you sometimes drive to, you see a huge place with all the wire, right? Those are only the PMU. So now it takes 10 acres of land to build those. But can we stop that? It's very hard. You see, today the AI technology, I mean, all day we have gaming, we have enterprise application, then we move into cryptocurrencies. With now AI technologies, the requirement just went up so significantly. It's not what we can imagine. So basically, the capacity of all this LLM, even by 2026, based on the study, the requirement around the world is the entire Japan utility, so-called energy requirement. So the biggest, of course, it comes with big challenge. The big challenge is, of course, electricity. Of course, is water. It's a very, very tough problem. It's not easy to solve. So each of the, I mean, if Malaysia's accepted, welcome those investments. So it come with a price. The price is how do we generate more green power? How can we recycle more waters and using new technology to reduce the water consumption and stuff like that. So I mean, this is road ahead of us. There's no perfect answer, right? But the requirement of data center is unavoidable. It is for us as a country to build more and more green power. I'm glad the government have a lot of green policy right now. Also looking at the waters, water is getting very precious. How to recycle water and stuff like that. So for us, we are looking at various way. Maybe later will be more question on more details. But at high level, I would say it's tough. But we have to face it. We have to face it with new approach, new technology, new way of doing things to reduce the impact of getting the green power, which is not easy. But in some European country, actually we managed to get 100% green power in London. In London, we managed to get that, but not every country you can get that, right? So I mean, those are the things that we gotta watch and see, lah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Henrik. I think that is a great answer to actually paint the gravity of the picture that we're facing today. I think like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, data center is just like small, and now it's just it's massive. We are looking at I think the latest or the biggest megawatt that we're looking at for data center is at 500 megawatts in terms of investment for upcoming data centers. So I think the scale is huge, and we are presented with a lot of challenges. So I would like to move to Dr. Matthew, which is Dr. Carbon GPT is one of the new kids on the block, I would say. And I'm very proud of Carbon GPT, one of Malaysia digital status companies, in creating AI-driven cloud-based carbon management platform. So I just want to ask a question: Why AI? Why AI is very critical in carbon management and also as reporting tools? And what pinpoints have you observed in the industry that you have served so far? Yeah.
Thank you so much for the question. First of all, I would really love to thank MDEC for hosting this, and for a startup like a year-old startup, and for us to get the MD status, it really comes with a lot of gravitas. So appreciate that. So coming back to sustainability and AI, why I chose this path is because of my previous experiences. I was in the sustainability industry for the longest time. I played multiple different roles. I was an academician, researcher, grassroots NGO activist, and I was working in consulting. Now I started my tech company called Carbon GPT. And along the way, what pains me was the inefficiency to conduct and contribute towards sustainability. Can you imagine? Every year we have to deal with hundreds and thousands of pages of sustainability compliances in order to do sustainability. What kind of how can we create real meaningful conversations and impact if every single one are gatekept by standards that is ridiculous like that? And who knows what they're coming out with tomorrow, right? So I want you to understand. And I'm from university myself. I used to be a lecturer. In university, academic level, sustainability is still not taught as an official module or a program yet. Can we even keep up with the speed of and the trajectory of where we're going with net zero commitments? You gotta put money where your mouth is. So that's one big pain point. And where I believe AI can come in is to really close the gap of knowledge, right? Because leveraging on technologies, I'm not even talking about AI, let's not go there, right? Leveraging on technologies allows us to leapfrog from conducting sustainability in a more meaningful manner. I'll give you one example. Partners that we work closely with, corporates, businesses, small businesses, they have zero knowledge about sustainability, right? How can you expect them to meet compliances within 12 months? No way, right? But I believe that most of you have used ChatGPT before and you know the power of it. And the impact of how a AI agent can create and help you learn much faster. And that is really where we are really leveraging on with Carbon GPT. I'm not here to sell you the product or what, but I just want to give you an example. And of course, technology, great inventions come with a price as well. Do you know what's the biggest question that I've always been asked? Can you justify the cost of sustainability of using AI? Because AI has also created a lot of environmental impact. And if you want to know, the amount of energy used to train large language models today, it's so significant that we have no idea in the next 2 more years, do we even have enough energy to cater to that demand? Perspective matters. What Henrik shared just now was very interesting in terms of and Fadli shared about the quantum of the size. 500 megawatts, you imagine that, right? To date in Malaysia, our country runs on 15 gigawatts. That's about 15,000 megawatts of energy that we need daily. Yeah, and our grid is only supplying 700 megawatts of solar, right? That's more than 2/3 of the capacity of the largest energy data centers currently being built, right? Is it a joke that we don't have the capacity, or are we not moving fast enough, right? How can we really move the bottom line to catch up to what we ambition to become? I believe that AI plays a significant role, or digitalization and technologies, because take it from my experience, take it with a truckload of salt as well, right? Traditionally, it takes 12 months for us to calculate and measure the footprint of a company, of where they are doing in terms of their sustainability using human consultants, right? To date, you can do it with 3 months using a carbon accounting software. And to date, if you use AI for SMEs, can you believe it takes less than 1 hour to generate their report? First glance, that's the needle that we're trying to move over here. Yeah, I hope that answers that.
Thank you, Matthew. Now, sorry.
Maybe I don't know how we are gonna do this. I don't know how we're gonna do this.
Can we save the questions with the end? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know Mel. Okay. All right. So I think because we are, I'm quite aware of the time, because we have until 2:45, right? We have 15 more minutes, but I'll try to wrap it up so that we have Q&A for at least 5 minutes. Now moving on to Melminder. So you mentioned about your newly launched ESG newslettings.ai, right? And of course, it's also based on AI. And what are the quantitative metrics that you're looking at or outcomes that publicity.io is looking in facilitating those companies or your potential clients when it comes to using newslettings?
Sales pitch.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just backtrack a bit before I answer the question. Can I throw a question to the audience? All right, great. So, how many of us believe about narratives or storytelling for ESG? Is it like important or not important? Or are we still busy building frameworks and busy writing reports? Super important, yes. And that's what it's all about, right? The idea is that if you tell your story, if you tell your ESG story out there, you not only increase your shareholder value, you reach out to regulators, stakeholders, you reach out to potential investors. Ultimately, you even attract the right employees and the talents, because these days people want to work with companies that are actually having high ethics, and it brings value back to them. So a lot of the Gen Zs prefer companies that show that. So that's why we have done this ESG Newslytics. It guides, it acts like a lighthouse for companies to find their direction, because sometimes we are just so busy preparing, and like Matthew put it very aptly, thousands of reports, or thousands of compliance reports that you need to adhere to, so many challenges, and this takes the back seat because you're so worried about frameworks and reporting. But the faster that you get your story out, the faster you will be, or your brand or your company will be a leader in the ESG narrative. And that attracts much more value to organizations. So the metrics that we use is basically we're looking at news articles, because that is the metrics that is used by rating agencies. They look at publicly available information. So most Bursa companies are rated by FTSE Russell. So a lot of companies are rated 1-star or 4-star in terms of the ESG. And some of the information that they rate you against is looking at this publicly available information. So the platform gathers this information, analyzes this information, even gives you a sentiment analysis, which ultimately helps you if a company is moving a lot into greenwashing, for example. You can see a lot of negative coverage that will help you navigate and create more positive stories. And some companies can then use the data to see how they are comparing towards their peers in the same sector. So for example, data centers, they can look at other data centers and see who is performing well in terms of their ESG narrative out there. A lot of companies, if I may throw another question, in your opinion, who's leading the ESG narrative? Top of mind, which company comes to you? Your own company. No. Any other company? Top of mind? Heineken. Wow. Nice. Any other company that top of mind is leading the ESG narrative? You feel that, they're always talking about it. They are leading it. You see their stories everywhere. Great, great. You have CIMB, UOB, you have Maybank, Petronas, Gentari. So a lot of companies are doing it. So what they can do is they can start comparing the data. They can see that, and then that helps them. So I'll just leave it at that first.
All right. Thank you so much, Maminder. I think we move to Mr. Tan. All right. I had the opportunity to visit your company like a few months ago,
Thank you so much.
I'm also like very impressed with the range of services, especially on the usage or leveraging of IoT to make manufacturing companies and also operations more seamless and efficient.
Right.
So maybe you can share a little bit on how Tannen Technology is actually leveraging IoT and also AI to improve energy efficiency, particularly for industrial application.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Basically, we like to deal with problems, like I mentioned, and most of the problems that we have in Malaysia, we are dealing with a lot of legacy buildings, a legacy plant, where you already have your asset and your facility and your production equipments. And to justify to change all them is quite impossible because of the investment and the time. So what we do is we use IoTs to get data, and it actually tells you whether the performance of that equipment it's efficient or non-efficient, right? And if you talk about how to use AI, basically with a lot of data, we can actually train a model and create an autonomous adaptive process. It basically seems like your smart home. Like the moment you walk in your house, your lights turn on, you left your house, you just speak to your Alexa, things would actually turn it off. But now with sensors, actually it turn it off by itself. But of course, in the manufacturing and big buildings, it's more complex, right? So we deal with processes, we deal with a lot of equipments existing. Data help us to solve that with machine learning and AI. It create an autonomous control, right? So with autonomous control, it save energy without you knowing it, right? Because everything is happening at the scene behind, right? That's how we use IoT and AI to solve industrial complex problems.
Right. Great, great answer there. And I would like to maybe shift a little bit here to Mr. Henrik again. I think let's focus more on some of the issues that you highlighted earlier, more on the energy consumption and also carbon emissions. So, what are the measures that data center company like NTT itself in managing those carbon emissions and also energy consumption issues and also e-waste? Maybe you can share a little bit.
Running out of time, so I combine a lot of things. So you see for us, we become a clear player in helping the carbon emission. So there are multiple level of things that we are focusing. Number one, at the lab level, we are doing two major research on first a lightweight LLM. There's roughly 1/1,000 time of power needed. But I don't know what's the drawback. Maybe a little bit less accurate, right? So, but that's what we're doing. Number two, we are something called I1, which is the optical connectivity technology, that we start up a forum and driving this technology standard with Sony, and also supported by many Western company. So basically, that allow you to reduce the consumption in the technology itself. Number one, you reduce the consumption first, right? That's what we do. Then once, even when we propose the solution to our customer, we try to use very energy efficient systems. Example, we use more flash than SATA. SATA is mechanical. It burn a lot of energy. Then we try to reduce the usage. So not only we are doing research on reduction of usage, we propose the least so-called energy technology to the customer. But once you go into the data center, then it become our job to how to reduce the cooling, right? Because the energy that's the minimum you need. But how do we do the reduction of cooling? So now we are again asking our customers to raise the temperature. So they're telling them that those machines can actually operate at a much higher temperature. We don't have to overcool them. So they reduce the cooling. And at the same time, we try to reuse some of the coolant using some new technology to reduce reuse the coolant. And various technology is now getting more and more commercially viable. So those are the things that we do. And after that, if for our office, I remove all the dustbin of every desk, and I force everybody to go to a recycle bin. We built 300 kilowatts of solar in our data center just for office use. That's just barely enough for our office. So we do small, and we have 3 voluntary leave for every employees for sustainability activities 3 days a year. 3 days a year, you're allowed to take leave to join sustainability, not to go shopping lah, but you got to prove that you are joining activities like that. In fact, next week we are going for some cleanup days and stuff like that. So that's what we are doing to help out the reduction of all this. In terms of e-waste, Now there are many technology that we take back. We actually send back to as a spare part. We send to sell to people who use refurbished machine and stuff like that to extend the lifespan of machine. If the end, if something need to be disposed, we will actually go to those certified company that help us to dispose that lah. So there are so many layers that we are doing everything that we can to help. So that's what I can say. Thanks.
Thank you. So there are several key points there. More research on energy consumption, cooling technology, raising temperature so that you don't overcool the data centers, and also circularity and also refurbishment efforts by entity. So let's move to Matthew. What are the key challenges in leveraging AI for carbon management, especially on efficiency, accuracy, and also reliability? Because solutions like yours, for example, is being trained. There's a data model that need to be trained. So, and I think at the end users, most of the people will not be able to understand, how the data model is formed. How do you arrive to the assumptions and come up with the output or outcome? So, how do you actually address those key challenges and educate your clients?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think it's a common issue that was raised. So when we look at AI, it's not a one-click solve-all solution, right? There's no such thing. So when you come and you have to understand the problems and the challenges that are traditionally comes along with the AI. For example, hallucination. So don't trust anything that AI tells you. Half of the time it can be wrong, or it doesn't exist at all, right? Because it's trained to deliver results and it's tasked to deliver results. It doesn't know if it's delivering it accurately or correctly, provided for your context. So for us, the AI is only used for very specific and deterministic tasks that human doesn't need to be involved with. But at the end of the day, human is still involved in the loop for the decision making, for sustainability. It cannot tell you that you cannot allow the AI to turn off the lights or drive your car for you. It doesn't work like that, right? But the AI can tell you that, hey, these are the top 5 categories that you should look into to reduce your carbon footprint so that you achieve 80% impact in your company. So those are the things that AI can tell you very, very quickly. And for example, like I mentioned just now, the problems with ESG or sustainability is, there's just so much resources and knowledge out there. So AI can simplify that and tells you what you really need to know. Cut off the noise and focus on where to create impact. Because we don't have time, let's be real. And without actions, right, it's just all talk, it's meaningless. We'll never able to reach net zero. So what I see AI really helps is close the gap of knowledge, close the gap of resources, make some actions today. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's a really good reminder, and also a transition toward my next question to Manminder, because Dr. Matthew actually highlighted about hallucination by AI that might create misinformation or disinformation for those who are attending or consuming the information. So my question to Manminder is, given the rising concerns of greenwashing, so how do you actually address the issue of transparent and verifiable information coming from, for example, your solution itself, and how do you, what are the measures that are taken in place to make sure that your solution does not really, perpetrating more issues that we already have right now on greenwashing and hashing that you mentioned?
Thanks, Wadley. That's a really, really interesting key point. And I think a lot of companies, either they green hush, they shy away because they don't want to be scrutinized by sharing what they're doing, or they greenwash, they oversell, they have misleading stories, and I believe one of it was, if I'm not mistaken, Petronas was accused by NGO that they are greenwashing, because so this is where thankfully tech is here today, AI is here today, and with that it has come into all areas or all dimensions, and PR or public relations is one of them. And we are so lucky these days that we can actually leverage on this sort of tools rather than just looking at content out there and analyzing it. So the platform helps to analyze the content. It shows across 12 keywords of ESG or sustainability, from carbon footprint to sustainability, governance, anti-corruption, so on. So there are 12 keywords. And of course, we can add our own keywords, custom keywords as well. Then it measures for that company how the narrative is around the company, how positive or negative is the narrative. So that's the good part. And from there, they can then compare to their peers in the same industry and look at, for example, Petronas can compare with Shell and see how they are leading the narrative. And as I've mentioned, the sentiment analysis is super, super powerful, so that can actually measure how many people are talking about your brand in terms of positive or negative. So if you can see the temperature rising, then you know you're doing something wrong. So that's how we measure. And one thing very interesting that just happened earlier in the panel discussion, and I think Henrik was the one, he actually had a lot of great stories about what they're doing for their company and their employees. 3 days that they're giving for sustainability conferences and effort. No shopping, but just to go for conferences. Now, those stories, are they reaching the audience? Are they reaching the talents that you want to recruit? And people are going to read that story, and entity is doing that. We're like, wow, I want to work for this company. That's going to add value. So that's where we close that bridge. We close that gap, and we come in to help companies like this to reach out to their audience. That's where ESG Newslytics is.
Yeah, thank you. So then we shift to Mr. Tan. Could you please share some real world example that the audience who they could relate to in terms of energy efficiency and also monitoring using IoT and also AI?
Right. So we had a case that we went to Infineon, right? So they have a new building that is just connected with 10,000 of sensors just for one building, and total they have 11 buildings in Malacca. So that 10,000 sensors are sending you data every second, and you have to process that data. Human couldn't process that data. So what tends to happen? You see a lot of alarms on that. Every few seconds, there's a new alarm. And as a human, you just go and clear, because that's your KPI, clear the alarms, right? Regardless whether it's a right alarms or it's a wrong alarms. But that's human, because that's the KPI set. What we do, we need to create AI to filter whether this alarm is real, impactful alarms, or it's pretty just a sensor issue, or it's just normal, right? Because sometimes breaching threshold is nothing. If it's a normal alarms, we will automatically cancel it without human, because that not to be a human jobs, right? We want to create values in operating, but without risking creating some risk by deleting non-value alarms. That's Infineon, right? So what we do normally is to help them to save energy. Our biggest challenges used to be all about ROI. People tend to use ROI to measure the investment cost. We have to, we used to do projects, but now we have to use zero capex to prove to them that everything is ROI-able. We just need to go through that process. And with AI now, it makes our life easier, right? With generative AIs, it basically makes us even better and easier to actually execute our tasks. That is in semiconductors. I'm actually from agriculture background. I'm born in Kedah, so basically I deal with a lot of agriculture industry. That's where I started my career. But we deal with production as well in manufacturing. So one of the key problems that I had or faced or challenges by my client is about grain, right? So we solved that with a patented technology as well, using a grain prediction and able to improve the grain quality in the drying process. It's all ROI-able, but it takes time and effort. So what I want to just say that is history, and with the technology that is available now, everything becomes simpler, smarter, as well as faster to ROI, right? So believe in the data, believe in the technology. I think that's give us a very good foundation to kickstart with. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think there are some keywords there. For example, driving to ROI. I think sometimes there's a need to actually put certain nudge in the industry to prove that okay, this technology is new and also will somehow arrive to the ROI that the company are looking for, and also in reduction of human error, and also making things like simpler and also faster in terms of like data, making coming up with insights from data. So I think we are actually ahead of. We already. Maybe we can allocate another 5 minutes for Q&A from the floor. Maybe we start with Melissa at the back. Priority number number 1. Yes, Mel.
Okay, I'm not very technically detailed in this, but you look at this, for our Cyberjaya, we actually use air cool. We actually don't use water cool. We use air cool. Energy deficit, you're talking about water, right? Definitely. Okay, you see, IT equipment consume electricity. Yes, cooling also consume electricity. And water. Cooling using both. Cooling electricity consumption about 60% of the IT load that we call IT load. So it's huge. So there are various ways, air cool and water cool, but all the large scale data center definitely water cool. Ours, because we are building it very modularly in Cyberjaya, so we are using air cool. So we don't really consume water. So at least we don't. But in a very large scale implementation, definitely they need to use water. Now with the AI chip, you're talking about even direct liquid to the chip. So those are many options. I wouldn't be able to break down the options. So only the data center expert will have multiple options around the world, different technology. In fact, Petronas acquired companies in France that are specializing in some of this liquid cooling. There's so much technology available out there. So I think everyone adopting their own. It is somehow a trade secret to many people, because if my data center consume less water and be able to reduce the energy needed to cool a megawatt or workload, that is a significant advantage over the competition. So it become a competitive edge if you are able to do that. So many technology available, many different technology and partnership available. Each of us taking a different route, and the winner will emerge when you are able to do it much better than the rest. So, thanks.
Yeah, miss. Yes.
Okay, so thank you for the question. It's very interesting to see how companies are navigating that very challenging requirement as well. But Singaporean-based companies are light years ahead of us in terms of this. They have implemented, and I'll just share a data point here. Like 88%, if I'm not mistaken, of business leaders in Singapore, they believe how important news coverage or media reporting is to help them build better ESG strategies. So crucial, 2 points there. News reporting or coverage in the news for them is super important to help them build better ESG strategies. So ultimately, the platform helps companies to build better narratives. And when they analyze the news coverage, and I'll share one very interesting example from Malaysia. We met with a telecommunication company, a huge one, and we offered them to see their data. They say, okay, this is your narrative. This is what people are talking about you outside in news, in social media, and so on. They were shocked because a telecommunication company felt that their narrative should be, according to them, digital inclusion. It's a GLC, so they have Unify. I think I just mentioned the brand. So they want to, for them, crucially is digital inclusion, which is one of their ESG goals. But in the narrative that they're sharing or people are talking, it's not even there. So they have to now look back at their strategy level and see what are they doing wrong, and build better strategies that can help them create better narratives in the news. So that's what the platform is trying to help them do that in an easier way.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Do we have any, maybe one last question from the group? No? Okay, I think we have come to the end of our session today. Maybe just one last word for each panelist. How do you describe sustainability? What sustainability means to you and also your operations, as parting words for us today?
We as a company, we take it very seriously. We have dedicated team, dedicated headcounts to really specialize in this, and this team not only planning for all this, and they also educating all the employees. For us, we believe that if you really think it's important, you gotta put the money is where your mouth is lah. So we have really quite a big dedicated team. So because we have certain commitment we need to meet, it's a very challenging commitment. So the team globally and APAC and the region have dedicated people looking at this.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Matthew?
I think it's a bit more philosophical for me, my parting words. So I think it's a bit sad for the smartest and most intelligent species on Earth to be damaging and creating such impact on our world. And modern day sustainability is really artificial. It's rather soulless, if I can put it this way, right? And for us to be reminded of how to do sustainability, which is innate, using compliances, is a real, backhand slap on humanity. So I hope that sustainability in the future or now should be free and should be accessible for everyone. That's my parting words. Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew. Deep. Okay. I just want to share, for me, sustainability is all about being transparent and being authentic. Ultimately, it is something that humanizes a company and a brand. So start telling your story. It will really, really strike a chord with your key audience and your stakeholders.
For me, it's all about starting by yourself, leaving you an example. I think we are trying to create values and solve the problems together. Right. I think all the gentlemen here are trying their best to try to drive sustainability. For me, it's all about making our clients achieving their sustainability through energy efficiency and autonomously. Yeah.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the discussion today, panelists, and also everyone's in the room. So feel free to actually catch up with any of our panelists outside of the room if you have like any questions or collaborations that you have in mind. All right, thank you so much, guys.